Hey everyone, welcome. So I have an opportunity of having a YouTuber that I have been following for almost over a year now. When I thought of starting my channel, I was looking at a few other YouTubers who are very good at it and who performs non-BS, straight up information. If you have watched my channel in the past, you know that that's my style too. I don't like to hype anything. I don't like to downplay anything. I just say it as it is. So welcome Tom Nash on the club. And Tom, welcome to our channel.
It's my
Glad
pleasure.
to have you. Glad to have you. And I know that it took us a few tries, but we both managed to fit our schedule in.
We did
And
it.
we are here today. Yes, we did it. Great. Awesome. So, Tom, I'm not going to waste any time. And I know that people, those who watch us, expect the same from us, nothing different. So,
Definitely.
the market is crap, literally crap from the beginning of Jan.
Yes.
And it's, by the way, 93 degrees outside. And I sweat a lot for all your information. So I'll be sweating bullets. Before Tom called me, I had all the fans and everything on. I turned it off because of the audio. Okay, so if you see
We
me,
can blame it on the market.
that's it. Yeah, market. That's yeah. That I think that sweating was done by March by me, by the way. January, February, March, I sweat a lot. I was like, okay, this is getting. I'm used to it now. That's all right. So, Tom, let's talk about market. That I know that
Before
people
we talk
like.
about market, can we dedicate
Yeah,
2 minutes to
yeah,
talk about
yeah.
how
Sure.
good the
Yeah.
new Top Gun is?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
We don't want to spoil
Amazing
anything. No
movie.
spoilers.
Amazing movie. I
Wow.
went yesterday. Oh my God. The whole time I was just sitting like this in the seat and I was like, this is
Wow,
mind
bro.
blowing. This is mind
Like
blowing.
I
Yeah.
came with literally no expectations. I was like, "This is gonna be
Yeah.
another Matrix, another one of
Yeah.
them reboots, bullshit,
Yeah.
another one of them." Because there
Yeah.
were so many disappointments, but over the past few years of reboot, like, wow,
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I think it beat the first one in my opinion.
it's
I mean
better
it's
than first one. And
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
go
better
watch the
than
movie. It's
yeah. Go watch the
movie of
movie.
the
It's
year easily,
it's it,
easy,
it's
easily.
amazing,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
especially the message in the beginning. If
yeah,
you know what I mean. That was
yeah.
also very good touch. This was so
Yeah,
absolutely.
Cruz
Yeah.
is back at it. Cruz is
I know.
great again.
Yeah,
Yeah, we should
yeah.
make
He
a hat.
never.
Make Cruz great again.
It was never. He was never out of it. I mean, even the last Mission Impossible that I saw and the stunts that he was doing, I was
But
like,
he's a
oh my.
cyborg in those movies.
Yeah,
Nothing ain't ever going to happen to him. Like in
yeah.
this movie, he was playing like a real human being.
No, seriously. I mean, I don't know, Tom. I know that you have a few videos. I think a few months ago, I watched a video where you talk about your weight loss. Like, you went through that and you lost weight and you were feeling, good. I'm a big workout crazy, you want to call it. I'm literally on the crazy end. I try to work out 6, 7 days a week, every day for
Ooh.
2 hours. And when I see that guy, Tom Cruise on the screen, I was like, oh my God, this guy's
60 years old.
yeah,
He's
I
pushing
know. I
60.
know. I know. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. It's wow. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay. So now coming back to the thing that is not doing very well,
Top Gun.
which
Yeah.
is yeah, which
Dude,
is
I
the
checked
market.
Rotten Tomatoes today. It has like
Okay.
99% rating out of
Yeah.
5,000
Who
ratings.
wouldn't like that movie, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
They
who
killed
wouldn't
it.
like that movie?
I know why they waited now so to release it.
Yes, yes, to
Now
release
I
it. And did
understand.
you see the clip they talked about it was actually in the Washington Post how
Yeah.
how Tom Cruise yelled at the crew and all that. I mean, work dedication is at the next level, man.
When I heard that clip, I was full
Yeah,
of admiration to him. Like
yeah,
people thought it was cringe. Or like
yeah,
this is a CEO talking.
yeah. I have a
Like
I have a
I
friend. I have a friend. I'm not gonna name him. He's a big business guy here in DC area, and Tom Cruise is his business partner. So they watch movies together sometimes, and it's insane the way his eating, his lifestyle every day. I mean, these football players are always on point about their
yeah.
food and all, but these actors are also taking it to the next level, man. It's all about like staying active and young as long as they can.
Well, it's the same thing with Elon, right? When
Yeah,
you go all in on your passion, there's
yeah.
no real like the family stuff. There's no real like family life. There's nothing. It's just
Yes,
all
yes,
consuming.
yes,
So
yes.
he's
That's
like Leo DiCaprio is like that, right?
yeah, yeah.
When these
I mean,
method like guys, they go all in on this passion.
right. I mean, you cannot win in all sectors or always,
No,
right? I mean, there's one part of your life that will be suffering if you are like so much into it, the other part,
yeah, but
But yeah,
great job.
great job. Yeah,
By the way, I
amazing job.
wanted to tell you that another movie I saw that they made a different choice.
Okay.
This is becoming a movie podcast, but I'm a big
Right.
movie buff. We can
Okay.
spend 1 more minute on this.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Frank Herbert's Dune series of books, and
Okay.
I'm one of them crazies. So there's a whole, you know how there's the Lord of the Rings people who
Uh-huh.
have more PR.
Uh-huh.
So there's a very fanatic audience for Frank Herbert's Dune books, and
Okay.
we were all waiting for the Denis Villeneuve Dune that came out,
Got it.
uh,
Okay.
and
I
it
haven't.
was
Yeah.
as advertised, it was as good,
Okay.
but he nailed it. But because they went HBO Max and
Uh-huh.
didn't wait for the cinema, like guys like you have never like heard
Yeah.
about it.
I've never heard about it. I've
Yep.
never seen it. Yeah. So I wouldn't know what you are saying, but I believe you. There
But I was
are.
sitting Dune. I was sitting like this for like
Wow.
3 hours.
Wow. Okay. No, this movie was absolutely the edge of our seats. I mean,
Yeah.
like I was so
It's
impressed.
gonna
So
make so much
so
money off this movie. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God! It's they already did 150 million. I was listening on the news this
There's
morning.
gonna
Just
be
over
like,
the weekend, 150 million over the weekend, nationally, here in US, and then they're gonna make another some million.
bro, you know what they're gonna franchise this like they did Mission Impossible, because it's just a
They
money making
should.
machine.
They
It's a
should.
money
They
making
should.
machine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
They should.
and he can do stunts into his 70s. And this,
They're already like
okay,
calling him pops and stuff. Whatever.
stock market.
Anyway, yes, the market, the
Yes,
system, the broken system.
Gordon Gecko.
All right. So tell me that we all have our views, and especially guys like you and me who are in the market a lot. And, I mean, I just started doing these videos a year ago. And if you have seen my intro video, it was never like I just love market. It's not that I went to school in finance. Computer science is my background. And I just love investing. And my first investment was actually in 2008 when the market crashed right after that. That's when I learned, one of my friends told me, buy
Yep.
some Apple. Apple was my first buy that I bought. So this is kind of a new for me too. This market that I'm seeing, because I'm in it so much now. Before I wasn't. So 2008 I was buying. I was a buyer. I was not, losing any money because I just bought it like September, October of 2008 was my first buys. And then 2016, 2015, 2018, 2020, all these time, I was so busy working that I was just focusing on buying. I was not even focusing on selling or my portfolio is down. I was not even looking at that. This is the first time because we did so much buys all 2020. We saw these insane gains, which is unreal for the market. And then 2021 came, which was, I thought it's going to slow down, but it didn't. And we bought some crap along the way. And then now all of that is just gone. And all the gains, I mean, I was looking at my portfolio and all the gains from 2020 is just gone. So where we are right now, what are your thoughts about the market? And I'm not talking about long term, because you and I, we both know, those who have been in the market, that long term market will be fine. I mean, no, stock market's not dead. But let's talk about some of the stocks that our viewers and ourselves bought, which was, at now I think of it, big mistake. But at that time, because everything was just looking so juicy and so good, we ended up buying them. So what do you think about the stock market, especially for those growth stocks that, wasn't a good buys, now if we look back?
That's a really good question. So the first thing I want to mention here is kind of the back end of what you just said,
Mhm.
is the longevity of investments and the correlation to success in the market.
Mhm.
So there's a wonderful, I don't know how to call it, a blog, a mailing list, whatever. It's called Market Sentiment. It's on Substack.
Okay. Okay.
It's not a huge, they don't have a huge audience. I believe they have 16,000 people
Okay.
who follow them. But wow, the stuff that they put out are like legit. And they
Okay.
put out on May 16th, they
Mhm.
put out an article in which they analyzed three investment strategies going back to the dot-com crash, 2008 subprime crash, 2020 COVID mini crash, and
Mhm.
they tested what would three different strategies would yield. And they
Oh, very
basically, and very analytical, and they basically, there was uh, two cautious strategies, hold and stay,
right. Okay.
but one which was called double. What happened to somebody who stayed, somebody who held, and somebody who bought into the dip like you did in 2008.
Yep. Yep.
and then they tested it a year later, 3 years later, 5 years later, and they combined numbers like 2000, 2008, basically throughout the entire longevity of the market.
Right.
And in every data point, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, the double into the decline wins.
Okay.
In the first year, it only did 0.5%,
Okay.
but the guys who held did negative 28%. In
Okay.
the third year, they did 17%,
Hmm.
and the guys who held was minus 41%. In
Okay.
the fifth year, guys who held were minus 11%. They were up 32%. And going all the way 20 years forward to today,
Hmm.
it's pretty much it's evens out. So the
Right.
guys who held are 123%, but the guys who double down are at
Right.
225%.
Right.
So it evens out. But the strategy which you mentioned, like buying into the crash,
Right.
if you have patience, I'm saying, like when we say we're talking in 5 to 10
Hmm.
to 15 year increments, because
Hmm.
you can have a
Yeah.
couple of bad years.
Yeah.
It's a strategy that's very hard to beat. So I completely agree with what you said. It's
Right.
like that's why they say, they don't say that for nothing. Time in the market
Right.
versus
Absolutely.
timing. Yeah. So that's
Absolutely. And I've lived through that. I mean, like, there are a few, calls that I made were amazing. And that what gave me the push to go all into the market. And I mean, like, people, those who have grown up with me, they invest in properties, they invest in, they diversify. I'm not, I mean, I even said in my channel that I will be buying my first investment property probably this year. I'm doing some homework because property never really attracted me. Broken toilets and the mess that comes with it. Stocks always made me excited about, okay, let's do this. So what you're saying is absolutely right, but it also isn't about let's say you're not buying S&P 500, you're picking individual stock. And I actually saw your video where you're saying you shouldn't pick individual stock, you should.
I don't. So the way I do it in my personal portfolio, and I preach that. So I have a video about portfolio structuring
Okay.
where I share my own personal portfolio. So I
Okay.
have 40% of my money in the S&P 500,
Okay.
because you cannot beat long-term the S&P 500.
Right.
I did a video today on Tip Prank's channel,
Hmm. Hmm.
in which I basically compared the S&P 500 to Steph Curry, the basketball player.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Okay.
Steph Curry can have a bad game, a bad week, a bad month, but
Right.
at the end of the season, if he played at least 70 games out of 86, he's going to have about 40% 3-point percentage. So the S&P 500, if you just wait long enough, is going to give you 8% per year, 8 to
Right.
10% per year.
Right.
So it's impossible. Where would you get 8% per year? It's a very hard.
I know,
It's
I know.
very
It's
hard to
very
beat.
hard. It doesn't, and that's the thing, right? Some of the viewers, I'm pretty sure they started in 2020, and for them, 8% was like a daily gain because the stock market was so fake at that time.
Yeah,
Now everybody is realizing that this is not true. And 8% is really hard to make. By the way, for those
consistently,
who are new,
consistently. Yeah,
consistently,
you can
absolutely.
have a great year. I mean, look at Kathy,
No,
right?
you can have a great year, and that's where my main bullishness on Apple, on Tesla, on those companies that
Yeah.
come in, because I was lucky enough to start right at the 2008 crash, and that helped me maintain those gains. So my investment is not in S&P. 40% is not in S&P 500. I would say about 20% is in S&P 500, and that also on the 401k account, that I keep it aside. But on my trading, where I
And
trade
you
stocks,
maxing out 401k, right?
absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
And
like.
by the way, it's important to note max out. If you don't
Hmm.
max out,
Hmm.
you're
Hmm.
shooting yourself in the
Yeah.
leg.
Yeah, exactly. And no matter who it is, who you are, even me, Tom, or any other
Max
YouTuber,
it out.
I
Yeah.
mean, like, just max out, man. I mean, you cannot
It's free
really,
money.
yeah, it's free money. It's free money. And I bought Amazon at 300, Tom, when it was $300 in my 401k account.
Yeah.
And imagine that where it is right now,
Everything is
right? I
shielded.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So it's just, you cannot beat that. And no, you cannot always have winners. There are some losers in there too,
Yeah.
that I bought. But winners will take
Peter
over.
Thiel has his
Yeah.
Palantir, an
Mhm.
initial investment in the 401k.
In a 401k. So you
So
can,
his billions is in the 401k.
yeah,
Imagine that.
yeah. Just imagine, right? Tax free. Wow.
He's a
All
smart
right.
guy.
Yeah. No, he is, and that's why
But
he's
to your question, and you asked about what do you do with individual stocks now?
right.
So
Right.
it's a great question. So 60% of my portfolio is in individual stocks.
Hmm.
But again, I'm not an extremely diversified guy. In the
Hmm.
individual stocks, I hold very specific stocks. I hold
Okay.
Palantir, I hold Tesla, I hold Google, and I hold a copper company called FCX,
Okay. Oh
Freeport
yeah, that's your.
McMoran.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
That's my copper play.
That's a crypto company, right?
No, you're
No.
thinking about FTX. They're private.
Okay. Okay.
I'm
Yeah, yeah.
talking about FCX. They're a copper
FCX.
mining company.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
it's
Got
my
it.
EV macro play.
EV play. Okay, got it.
Because if you look at copper consumption for EVs
Right.
globally as adoption, like you don't, it's kind of like FCX for me is like don't matter who wins, we know
Mhm.
adoption of EVs is going to go up.
It's gonna go
It's
up. Yeah.
it's 8 times more per car copper, and think about infrastructure as far as
Yeah.
grids needs to be
Yeah.
upgraded.
Yeah.
Which there's a lot of and copper output per year is pretty. It's the same. It's not like oil.
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of copper that comes out, so demand goes up, supply stays the same. Obviously, long term,
Mhm.
I'm patient, so I
Yeah.
don't have a lot of stocks. Like if you look at Jim Cramer, if you look at his investment club, by the way, it's also called the club. It's kind of funny, right? But
Yeah.
in his investment club, for example, like he has like what, like 50, 60 different stocks. I mean, at
Right.
this point, I don't do like that's why we have the index, whether it's the
Right.
VT, if you want
Uh-huh.
global, or S&P 500. Like I
Right.
prefer the S&P 500 because I think the US economy is by far the best economy in the world.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't like emerging
Absolutely.
markets, but
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
whatever it is, like I, as far as individual stocks. So here's my methodology now, and the way I look at it now is there's a very good video
Hmm.
that Aswath put out on his own channel.
Okay. Who's that
It,
again?
Aswath the Modern is the Dean of Valuations of NYU. He
Okay.
has a
Got
YouTube
it.
channel
Okay.
with
Okay.
no clickbait, no monetization,
Right. Okay.
no
Yeah.
type of SEO, and he has like
Mhm.
500,000 subscribers. It's just his lectures from
Okay.
NYU and
Got
the
it.
occasional videos which are completely
Mhm.
not optimized for YouTube, and yet
Got
they.
it. Okay.
I watch his stuff religiously.
Okay.
He's super
Okay.
good. So
So
I
the
come
two
from the
things, I'm
business of.
sorry,
Go ahead.
I'm gonna say two things. So two things you mentioned. You mentioned a newsletters thing in the beginning, right? Where you
Yes.
have all this chart and then this person. So can we provide the link to the viewers
Yeah, definitely.
later on? Yeah.
So we'll provide it just to
Yeah.
give you the names again, so you can put it on the screen in the edit later.
Hmm.
The mailing list blog. It's called Market Sentiment,
Market sentiment. I'm gonna write it down.
and it's
Okay.
on Substack. I'll send you the link. And Aswath's channel is it is a staple in the industry. Like for guys like me, I came from valuations. So for
Right.
the past few years, I spent working for one of the big four.
Hmm.
I don't say which one,
Right.
but you know the big four:
Hmm.
KPMG, YPWC, Deloitte.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I work for the transactional services division. So basically, what we did is valuations is kind of what you do, because you do a lot of due diligence work, a lot of transactional work, a lot of research, and a lot of
Hmm. Hmm.
analytical work as far as breaking down companies for your clients for targets,
Okay.
or sometimes you go on the defensive side. It's a very adversarial process when you have
Yeah.
M&A.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes you play defense, whatever. So he's the evaluator. That's why I absolutely love his stuff, because like he comes
Hmm.
from my world. So in his video, he has a video called "Inflation is Here to Stay," and
Hmm.
he talks about how to analyze inflation-friendly companies, how to find inflation-friendly companies. And basically, what he does, brilliant video, absolutely brilliant. And what he does in that video, he basically explains how he looks at inflation-friendly companies. And he says, "Look, what I'm looking for is basically three things, because I know in inflationary times, interest rates will go up, capital will become more expensive,
Hmm.
cost of production or provision of services will go up, capital access will be limited,
Hmm.
margins will get cut." That's kind of a reality of
Yep.
inflationary.
Yep.
You
Yep.
can already see it. Look at the Walmart and Target
Hmm. Hmm.
financials.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
can see more revenue,
Hmm.
less EPS, because
Hmm.
the margins are
Absolutely.
getting
And it's
eaten
gonna
up.
continue. Yeah.
It's
Margins
going
gonna.
to continue. It's just the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and he says, okay, if that's the case, this like, and he says, if that's the case, what I'm looking for is a company that sells non-discretionary products. Let's say like he didn't say that, but like I'm just gonna say it, tampons.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right? I'm not. I can't giggle when I cannot not giggle when
Right,
I say it. I'm
right,
I'm
right, right.
15 years
Okay.
old, bro. In my
Something that,
mind,
it's a necessity. It's not
it's
a.
a necessity, right?
Right,
So you
right.
can also think about tobacco, which I don't personally
Mhm.
invest in because of moral reasons. I absolutely
Mm-hmm.
hate what it does to people. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's a lot of different products. Like, so you would think about non-discretionary products
Mm-hmm.
with a less than competitive environment,
Mm-hmm.
which would allow you to create high pricing power and a business that has high margins, because ideally you don't want to roll over 100% of the increased costs on your clients, and you want to be able to absorb a little bit of it. So you need pricing power and margins to kind of eat away at inflation. Roll over some of it to the client, keep the demand the same if you have pricing
Right.
power, and also absorb some of it through your own margins.
Mm-hmm.
And ideally, this would be a company that doesn't require a lot of net working capital, like
Mm-hmm.
not infrastructure or construction, nothing like capital intensive, because capital is going to be hard to get, it's going to be expensive. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have digital products, for example, right, that's going to
Mm-hmm.
be a prime example.
Mm-hmm.
And most of all, it has to be a company that's not really exposed to fluctuations in energy and commodity prices. Again, let's say digital
Right.
products, right?
Right.
So if you can
Right.
find a company like that, and the best thing would be high cash flow, low
Right.
debt,
Mm-hmm.
and high cash position, low debt. So basically,
I mean,
Palantir.
it's yeah.
So when I was watching the video, I was like, he's talking about Palantir, by the lover. I
Yeah,
mean, this is
we
literally
will
he's
talk
just
about it
describing
too.
Palantir.
Okay, but
Which one
do
is
you
it?
really?
Like, I was like,
Yeah,
okay, message
yeah.
received,
It's.
buying Palantir.
Do you really think that there's a company out there that exists like that? Because there are a few
No,
companies that I thought are going to be inflation proof, and proved me wrong. I mean, like I was really
nothing is
thinking that
inflation proof.
that's what I'm saying. Nothing is inflation proof. I mean,
Nothing is
I
inflation
I
proof.
was surprised to see Nvidia drop to the level it dropped
Yep,
just because see that's like the future, that's the need. Every industry needs
yep,
Nvidia, every industry
yep,
needs AMD. But when you see companies like that, even like I looked at Coca-Cola, okay, I looked at McDonald's, I looked at all
yep.
these companies, people cut back on freaking everything.
On
Doesn't
everything.
matter. I mean, like, when prices go up,
Yep,
people cut back. And I'm in people business. I don't have a product, but I have a services business. That's what I do. And I see the changes in people's temperament in
yep,
dealing with what I ask them to do, because
yep,
there's a shift. They want more. They want, yes, you pay me more or I'm not going to do it. And they know that because of the people business, they will get paid more, because right now everything is just so expensive, and it's
yep,
justifiable for them to come and ask for raises or
yep,
whatever they're
yep,
asking for. So I feel like, it's and what do? I hire less people because of that, because I want to take most of what the team that I have, and I'm not going to hire more people. So this like a chain effect. One thing affects the other decision, one thing affects the other, and then we all suffer at the end. So times are absolutely going in a direction. And when somebody says that, what, we are done, there will be a deflation or there will be, a recession, all of those, there could be a possibility of anything happening, because we are living in so uncertain times. I mean, I remember back when Tesla dropped to like 650 a couple months ago, and I thought, what, this is an amazing freaking price for Tesla to be at, 650 or around $600. That was amazing. And I sold some puts for 650 for September of 2022 at that time, and I got a great premium at that time.
yep.
I never thought that Tesla would be touching 650 near September of 2022. I thought Tesla will be above 1,000, which still will be. But what I'm saying is that these times are so uncertain that it's tricking and it's dodging everyone.
Yep.
You know, that brings me to the next question, which is the energy sector. I get that question a lot from the viewers. I don't know if you do or not. When you do, is it the time to go into energy sector, or is it the time to stay out because it's already run up so much? Because that's the only sector I see has done well in the last few months. So what do you think about it? Because I personally, my feeling is that it's too hot right now, and I don't want to enter blindly in the energy sector where it is right now. What do you think?
So funny enough, I had this question asked many times, and I
Mhm.
said, "Well, I'll make a video, and it's gonna get a lot of views because everybody's asking about energy."
Right, right.
I did a
Yep.
video 3 days ago,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
basically about energy stocks,
Okay.
um,
Yeah, nobody
and
cares, I guess.
and it was like a 10 out of 10. Nobody watched that.
Yeah, yeah. Nobody watched. Nobody.
Nobody watched that.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so I'm just gonna kind of summarize the bottom line of the video.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So essentially, in the video, I speak about how energy did good, a good 70% in the past 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So you would think that 70% probably is a good place to park your money right now, right? With everything that's going
Mm-hmm.
on, there's
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of shelter from
Mm-hmm.
inflation. We just talked about
Mm-hmm.
it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, right? Do you think that the majority of the money has already been made? And I
Yeah.
think yes. I
Yeah.
think the
That's
big
what I.
money was already made on oil.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can it run up higher? For sure. It
Mm-hmm.
can run up higher. And it did. If you remember when you're investing in 2008, the price per barrel was $145.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Yeah.
can run higher.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
big money was made when my friends, I have a friend, I wasn't doing it myself, but I have a friend who bought it in the 20s, and he bought a lot of it because
Mm-hmm.
he knew that this is going to go up.
Mm-hmm.
This was the big money. Now you're basically you buying after a parabolic increase,
Yeah.
and you don't know if this is top or not.
Yeah.
And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But
Mm-hmm.
here's some kind of very basic analysis. So the one thing that makes me bullish on oil a little bit is the fact that the government is saying that I shouldn't be, because if you look at the EIA, they
Mm-hmm.
put out a report. The EIA is the federal agency that deals with statistics around the energy business in the US.
Mm-hmm.
So they put out a report in late April saying, well, we estimate that by the end of 2022, the average price per crude will be $102. By the
Mm-hmm.
end of 2023, average price crude per barrel is going to be $93. So we're going to see a
Okay.
decline in oil prices. And
Okay.
then if you read the report, they're like, yeah, but we don't fucking know. At
Mm-hmm.
the end,
Yeah.
there's a paragraph
Yeah.
where they
Yeah.
say,
Yes.
yeah, we don't, we hope.
You hope. You hope.
So
Yeah.
whenever
Yeah.
you have a government, the government
Yeah.
tells you that something's going to happen, I always play the opposite because it's kind of a rule as a Russian. That's what I've been kind of
Yeah.
conditioned to do.
Yeah.
So when the government tells me everything is going to be okay, I start to panic. Literally, it's
Right.
Pavlovian for me. I don't even control it.
Okay.
But to get a little bit more serious,
Mm-hmm.
look, I laugh at the absurdity of the Biden administration saying that Putin is the reason for these oil prices,
Mm-hmm.
because he's definitely making it worse.
Mm-hmm.
But to
Mm-hmm.
call him the reason is an
Right.
insult to the people who voted for this guy.
Right.
And I lost a couple hundred subscribers today when I made a video calling him a clown,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm
Mm-hmm.
fine with it. I said in the
Mm-hmm.
video,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that's clownish, because think about it this way: all you need to look at is the data.
Mm-hmm.
So from December to February, which is when the invasion started, oil went up from 60 to 90, or from 66 to 99 or something. So oil went up like 30% before Putin even
Mm-hmm.
stepped foot on Ukraine,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when everybody thought, including myself, that the war is not
Right.
happening. So I
Right.
said I said he's never going to invade. He's not that stupid. Obviously, I got it wrong. Among other things, I just said to them, Money Talks, I should have an inverse fund with Kathy Wood and Jim Cramer on my predictions. But basically, look, so to let's get to the bottom line here.
Mm-hmm.
So Russia Ukraine isn't making things better, for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
So if that persists, and it seems like it's going to persist because neither party can afford to lose, and
Mm-hmm.
he also cannot politically afford to lose,
Right.
this seems to be becoming slowly the next Afghanistan. Now, I don't know if you're familiar, as the Russian Afghanistan, for me, has a lot of its mental charges. Afghanistan for Russians is like Vietnam for Americans.
Got
It's
it.
it's
Okay.
it's a very painful 10-year war. So
Okay.
it's slowly turning into Afghanistan, which
Okay.
means it's not going to get solved anytime soon. It
So.
doesn't seem like it. On the other hand, you have I would call it the OPEC clusterfuck.
Mm-hmm.
And now, OPEC, for those of you who are not familiar, OPEC is a cartel. And literally, nobody's going to get insulted when I call them a cartel, because they literally call themselves the cartel. So they're an oil producers cartel. And by the way, cartel is an economic phrase. It's not a drug dealer.
Yeah.
It
It's
didn't
okay.
come from
Yeah.
the drug
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
So for
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
of you,
Yeah.
it's a completely legitimate. It's like saying monopoly, duopoly, whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So there's a definition. Look it up later. Not you, Andy. I mean the audience. So they're the oil producers cartel. So there's OPEC, OPEC plus. No, never mind. So traditionally, OPEC always worked in tandem with the US,
Mm-hmm.
because it was kind of scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as they're making money, they wouldn't squeeze the lemon, so to speak, right?
Okay.
And much like in NATO, who controls NATO pretty much? It's the US. It's the strongest.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah. Strongest. Yeah.
you know, he who holds the buck holds the opinion.
Hmm.
So OPEC is controlled by Saudis. Well, Saudi and UAE, if they're kind of in tandem, but they move. It's like US and Canada. They move completely in tandem.
Got it.
So Saudis, and they had an amazing relationship with Donald Trump, for example, because it was all business.
Mhm.
Uh, And then what happened is, with over the past few years, we had an incident with a journalist who got assassinated,
Mhm.
and the Biden administration started putting the blame on the head of state of the Saudi,
Mhm.
basically for doing that,
Mhm.
publicly going at him,
Mhm.
which I don't know if it's morally right or wrong. As a business decision, it's a questionable business decision. Um, and then they're actively trying to get a deal done with Iran, which is the, just to clarify to people, is the arch nemesis of Saudi Arabia. Like, as
Okay.
much as they all hate other people, they really hate each other much more.
Mhm.
So the US is pursuing a deal with Iran, talking about getting the Revolutionary Guard from the terrorist list, which is unthinkable for Saudis. And the Saudis is fighting a war against some Yemenis rebels, which the US
Mhm.
is basically not helping in at all. Well, at least. So basically, the Saudis are saying, well, you guys have threw us under the bus. I mean, you've completely turned us into persona non grata on the public stage. You're
Mhm.
accusing us of being this and this and this, whether it's true or not
Mhm.
doesn't matter. But the Saudis are now saying, you know what? Fuck you. We're
Mhm.
just gonna sit here at 115, 120, and we're gonna squeeze the lemon. Now, here's the thing with the OPEC, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Now, you would say, why not 130, 140, 150, 160, right? They
Mhm.
can't. They can't squeeze it too much, because what happens with oil production is that at a certain point, factories will shut down. If oil gets too high,
Too high.
basically too high, the entire market collapses, they lose clients. So, but uh, mechanically, 120 is the sweet spot for them. It's
Mhm.
affordable, very expensive, affordable, and they get to squeeze the lemon. Now, they never did it until now, but now they're basically saying, "Well, we're not going to help you. It's your mess. Clean it up." The other problem is, and this is kind of more about the structural issues of the oil industry. The oil industry is really a cyclical industry, so it's like
Mhm.
the chip business. When
Mhm.
you want to produce chips, it's a multi-year cycle. The oil industry requires a lot of capex, a lot of capital investment in infrastructure to produce oil in advance. So
Mhm.
the
Okay.
development cycle is 3 years. So what happened is,
Right.
during the pandemic, everybody divested away from oil. You remember when oil went negative?
Mhm. Yeah.
Negative.
Yeah. Negative. Right. That was
I
awesome.
wish I had a DeLorean so I can go back. When,
It was there for a few days. I mean, I don't know,
where
for
is it?
a few days. Yeah.
Doc Brown with his DeLorean when I need one, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We don't need the sports almanac. Just give us
Exa-
the oil amount.
Exactly.
So basically,
And
when oil
gold.
was negative,
Right.
what happens is that everybody pulled money away
Mhm.
from investing in oil.
Mhm.
So a lot
Mhm.
of refineries closed, equipment got
Mhm.
dismantled and sold to scrap. People got fired, found new jobs. A lot of the know-how left the industry. It's going to take years to restart the process. Also, there was the big ESG push into environmental friendly energy, blah 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 blah. Look what
Mhm.
happened in Germany, right? They shut
Mhm.
down everything
Yeah.
basically. So
Yeah.
combine that with the bad, combine that also with Venezuela and Iran, who's shunned.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
even if you make a deal with them, it's going to take years to rebuild. Their infrastructure is shattered,
Yeah,
bro.
it's not. Yeah, it's not that simple. As somebody says, you know what? Why don't they get oil from Canada? Why don't they get oil from Venezuela? I mean, like, when all this happened, I was like, listen, yeah, they will eventually, if this prolongs for too long and the relationship is ruined. But it's not a weekly, or it's not a monthly thing that they can just
There's
turn
no
off like
tap
this.
you can open and there's
Yeah,
more oil flowing.
exactly. You
But
cannot.
the
Yeah,
other
you
thing
cannot
is
do
the
that.
demand is going up. The secular demand is going up.
Right.
Things are reopening. Summer
Yep.
is here. People want
Summer
to
is here.
travel.
Right.
Airlines are going crazy. And
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
winter we have heating, which is going to be
Yeah.
more. So
Yeah.
demand is going up. Supply
Yeah.
is less than pre-pandemic because we basically stopped investing. And now we kicked out the third biggest producer of oil from the system
Mm-hmm.
completely.
Mm-hmm.
People forget Russia is only 10% of the global supply of oil, but
Yeah.
they're the third biggest producer, and they're the only producer in Europe. Also, with oil, you have to think about the globalization of the supply.
Mhm.
It's not
Mhm.
like, oh, Saudi make 10%, US make 20%. There's also localization to these things, how
Mhm.
logistics. So if you cut out Russia, Europe, it's very complicated to buy oil from Saudi or from
Right.
the. So
Right.
the
Right.
whole system is fucked. So you would think, based on
Right.
everything I just told you right now, Andy,
Mhm.
well,
Mhm.
oil has to go up, right?
Right.
Like,
Right. Right.
not necessarily. And
Right.
here's the kicker. You know why I don't think it's necessarily gonna go up?
Mhm.
My biggest fear is
Mhm.
that this is our shoe shiner moment right now.
Okay.
When the
What
shoe
do you-
shiner is talking to me about how energy can only go up.
Okay. So
Because I've seen these before with Bitcoin in
right, yeah, yeah, yeah. So
2017.
Goldman actually predicted that oil can go up to $185 a barrel back when the Russia and Ukraine first started, right? That was their prediction. And I was like, oh my God, the day if that happens, you know. And this morning I heard on CNBC that India and China are buying a lot of oil, whatever they can get their hands on from Russia. So when
And
it
cheap,
comes
and
to
they're doing it for
and
cheap.
cheap, yeah, yeah, of course, yeah, right,
Yeah.
because they are willing to pay, they're willing to buy, and they're
Yeah.
willing to take. So of course they will do it. So I think the problem again, we're not going to make it too long because we know that people don't care about it. But when it comes to investing, I feel when we retail investors start to go in, these big funds, those who have already made their money, they see what's going on in the investment where all the money inflows are coming in, and that's why I feel like for us it's too late to go in. You know, that's my bottom line. Is like, yeah,
I don't like the timing now. It's just I feel the
yeah,
big money. All my
exactly.
rich
Oh,
friends, Andy, right now,
yeah,
not talking
yeah.
about oil.
No,
All
they're
my
not.
rich friends
I'm
right
talking
now
about,
looking for the growth stock to
yeah,
bet on.
growth stocks. Yeah, growth stocks.
They're
I
looking at all these beaten downs and they're trying to figure out which
Yes,
one out of
which
these
one?
is the next Amazon, Facebook, Apple.
All right, let's go there then. What do you think of these beaten down stocks? Which are your top three? And I'm gonna just
You
ask
know
you
my
this
answer to
question.
this. I mean, you don't really need to ask me.
No, you know, I mean, Palantir, we know. Tesla, we know.
Some
Give
people
me,
say I'm getting paid by Palantir to promote them. If
see,
people
they say
realize
about
how
that.
much of a crime that is, like it's literally
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I would
yeah.
go. You,
They say that about SoFi to me, you know, because I cover SoFi pretty extensively,
I
and
wish
I
they
actually,
paid me. I wish.
yeah, 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 same thing, right? I
Pay
even
me.
try to give,
Palantir
yeah,
sponsor me.
no, but I mean, you know, I look at it personally, and I'll give you my names where I feel like we are in deep value, and then you give me two names. I'm not going to ask more.
By the way, I'm
I think
bullish on SoFi also.
SoFi, yes. So PayPal for me is an amazing deep value stock right now. It's one of the stocks where I feel that it has a huge potential of where it's sitting right now. I'm not talking about the business because they're already a mature business, but it has beaten down because of the market conditions so much that I feel that PayPal can really do well in the coming days. And then the other growth stock, or I would say value growth stock, which is in really deep value, is Amazon, in my personal favorite. Because Amazon, I feel, has been such a sleeper all this time, all the pandemic time, and they have done so much for the pandemic, you know, people. I mean, I shop my, you know, groceries to everything comes from Amazon, and such a lifesaver. And I feel Amazon, where it is right now, in the next 2 years, that would look like a pretty bargain. Like, what were you thinking of not getting more, and especially the split and everything coming on? So that's, I feel, my personally too, where I see the deep value, along with, of course, Tesla. Tesla is my weekly investment. I mean, I put money every week in Tesla in my M1 account, and also as and when I get money and on the side, I buy Tesla, and I even tell my Discord members that I'm buying Tesla. So Tesla is, of course, one of my biggest holding
Yep.
in my portfolio, and will continue to be, because I feel Tesla has, of course, great future and great potential. Palantir, I have not done any buys recently since January. I have, because I'm just putting the money, because all the buys that I did last year, I stopped in January looking at the market condition, and I'm just now waiting when the market condition improve and I have new money coming in, because we don't have unlimited money, man. I wish if I did, you know, just sitting. So I would have bought like whatever I have. I'm looking at my buckets and seeing that, okay, you know, this is a better buy for me. Any thoughts? Your thoughts on that?
So let's break it down.
Yeah.
Number one
Mm-hmm.
is the point that you made about SoFi.
Mm-hmm.
I really love SoFi.
Mm-hmm.
I love SoFi because I feel that their management is absolutely brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
I love Anthony as a
Mm-hmm.
CEO.
Mm-hmm.
His credentials probably make him a top five CEO in the market right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
he completely created a new culture around where SoFi is headed. The banking charter was huge,
Huge, right?
and the
That
whole
was
idea of a
huge.
one-stop shop
Mhm.
financial solution for,
AWS, yeah.
yeah, for kind of the younger demographic, I think is
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
brilliant. So SoFi is definitely, I like to invest in good management, and
Right,
absolutely,
right. Have you ever
yeah.
listened to his earnings call, by the way, Tom?
No, recently,
Okay, because if you
maybe a
listen
while
to, yeah,
ago.
yeah, because that's what sold me initially when I was looking at SoFi. One, that they have a product for freaking every age, as person ages, all the way from school to they getting married to their will to, I mean, like they have a product for each category, each phase of your life, which is very, very smart if you really look at it, because once they take your hand, they take you through the process. And the second thing is the guy is really, he executes at a different level. And I mean, a very smart investor told me long time ago when I was starting my investing career that follow the person, not the company. Because if you follow the person, if you know that the person is good and has proven many times, and you have seen the, no matter what they do, they will be successful. It's like in their DNA kind of thing. So there are few exceptions to the rule, of course, because the product gets so good that people kick out old CEOs and bring in the new people and new blood, and they do very well. I mean, I think
PayPal, PayPal did
yeah,
it with Elon.
yeah, PayPal did it with Elon, and I mean, look, Microsoft was not attractive just a few years ago, and new CEO came and he turned things around, and
Yeah,
Microsoft looks so attractive now. I mean,
Microsoft was a joke.
company. Exactly, exactly. And now, if you look at it, they are like one of the most, I would say, valued companies right now. That has a huge future potential. So
Yeah.
I feel like yeah, CEOs does make a huge difference. And I, on that, what other stock do you think is in deep value right now?
Mm. So
They all are
I'm
in a way, but that you're bullish on.
there's a lot of them out there right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
Well,
told you earlier that my rich friends,
mhm,
like I have friends who, I'm not in this category, just to be clear.
mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
the kind of friends who shorted Nikola back in the day.
Oh,
It
sure. Yeah.
it's like 80 grand a day.
Oh my
You
God.
remember the like
Yeah,
the sort of
yeah,
bets that
yeah,
so I
yeah.
have some rich friends.
Right.
Um, they're all talking about finding the piece of shit turd beaten down growth
Mm-hmm.
play
Mm-hmm.
to get out of this in a year, two, three, whatever. They don't care if it takes a couple
Mm-hmm.
years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they're all trying to figure out which one is it. And they're
Mm-hmm.
SoFi is a name that comes up a lot, by the way.
A lot.
I heard it quite a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
I heard other names as well. For me, I made a video a week ago or so
Mm-hmm.
where I
Mm-hmm.
said I'm doubling my position at Tesla at
Yeah.
$650.
Yeah.
I did it. I didn't know it's gonna jump up so fast. I mean,
Right.
obviously this was not a short term swing. I haven't
Of
sold or
course.
anything. I
Yeah.
feel that Tesla is it's probably trading right now at the half of its actual valuation.
Absolutely.
It's as a
Absolutely.
car company, they're $1,500 stock as a car company,
Right. As
and
a
I've
car
been
company,
very
we're not
clear
talking
about it.
about anything. Yeah. Yeah. We're
Yeah,
not talking
as a
about
car company, the only thing I
MI.
would add to my valuation is FSD at $200 a pop.
Yeah.
So I $200 a pop with 80% gross margin, which is kind of where
Yeah.
you'd be it with a
Yeah.
SaaS product. By the way, we are talking about a car company with a SaaS product.
I know. I know. I
The
know. Yeah. Yeah.
insanity
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
so
Yeah. That's like,
Tesla is half the price. Obviously, Palantir is just ridiculously low.
yeah. Oh
It
yeah.
it it's I've made a video attempting to explain to people that everything they hear about Palantir is just FUD, and I've
Mhm.
I've shown the numbers talking about how insider selling is FUD. There's no insider selling. How dilution is complete
Yeah.
FUD. How stock-based comp is just basically all fucking bullshit,
Yeah.
and
I'll
some
show
people just
you.
refuse to listen.
No,
I
no.
mean,
And on that, I have actually a screenshot. I actually saw that video. Do you mind if I share quickly?
yeah, definitely go ahead. I
All right.
mean,
So let me just quickly go ahead and share this. Okay.
Palantir is one of the most FUDed companies
So
in the
take a look
market.
here. So this is Palantir's social sentiment, or when negative reports come out about Palantir.
Hmm.
Green is all positive reports. Red is all negative reports. So take a look here. This is all negative reports coming out of Palantir. And anytime you see few positive reports, there is always a negative report printed afterwards.
Yes.
And it's like such a, if you really look at it, see, this is like all negative, negative, negative. And we are talking about like 24th May. Look, all negative sentiment all around the stock. Sorry.
Oh,
All negative sentiment all around. And then anytime we have a positive, they're followed by 2 or 3 negative reports. So it's like such a, what do you believe? You look at
let's
these.
talk about Palantir. Let's talk about Palantir for a
Yeah,
second.
let's talk about Palantir.
Okay.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
don't care about market emotions
Right.
or psychology. Let's
Right.
talk about the business. Okay.
Right.
So the biggest risk with the company going into single digits is that they're going to lose coverage. They're going to go into oblivion, and they're eventually going to go bankrupt. Statistics show, companies that go into single digits, they quite often go bankrupt and basically get delisted. Not a risk for Palantir at all, for the
Right.
simple reason because the business is doing better than ever. I mean, that's the
Right.
crazy part. So
Yep.
let's look at the company. Look at it like an accountant. Look at the balance sheet. $2.5 billion in cash.
Yeah, that's
And,
huge cash, huge, more than SoFi. Huge.
I believe they have little debt, but virtually no debt. Very small
Yeah.
debt position.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly the number, but something ridiculously low compared to the cash.
Some 100 million, yeah.
I think we can pull it up on the screen right now. I don't remember exactly the number, but I'm going into the financials right now. So in the balance sheet, their net debt negative, which is a good thing, by the way, 2.25 billion.
Okay.
So that means their debt is 267 million.
Million, yeah.
So
That's too
they're
high.
sitting on 2.5 billion of cash and a small debt that they're just keeping there because it's cheap interest, I'm assuming. So virtually no debt, lots of cash. They don't need to raise capital with 2.5 billion. They're not capital intensive business. They're cash flow positive, and have been for a long time. Free cash flow for 2021 was 424 million, which means out of the 1.5 billion they did in revenues, they had $424 million of cash flow from operations.
Yeah.
They're making money. They're profitable. So, and quite at a high margin. Their client base is growing like crazy. Government business is steady and not going anywhere. As you know, DoD contractors, they usually tend to stay in the business for a long time. The commercial business grew 54% last year, 100 and something percent in the US. Net retention is 124%. I mean, and that's all with a rickety ass, completely clusterfuck of a sales force.
Yes.
So people don't realize this, but Palantir fumbled their way into a sales force about a year ago.
Right.
When they realized, oh shit, we don't have a single salesperson in the company.
Right.
So, and they were proud of it. That's the stupid part. I was like, this is like such a bonehead thing to do. It's like they were making interviews with Alex Karp, basically talking about how he's proud that they don't have a single salesperson in the company.
Yeah. I mean, they were kind of, going with the Tesla model, but they're a different company, a different market.
It's enterprise software. You have to have salespeople.
Exactly. You have
You're
to have
competing
sales.
against Microsoft.
Yeah.
You know how Microsoft sales looks like? I mean, it's a jungle.
Huge.
It's not
exactly. Oh, there are more
So
people on
basically-
sales than in IT than they're engineering.
Bro, if you're competing against Microsoft and guys like that and Snowflake, I mean, these are like enterprise software. North America is the most brutal market in the world for any product or service.
Sure.
Not Europe. The US is brutal, bro.
US, right.
So
And it's dependency, right? Once you get used to it, you get used to it.
yeah, but they have no skills in this. So they wake up one day and it's like, oh shit, this amazing product isn't going to sell itself, right? Oh, we need to actually get salespeople. So they hire a bunch of salespeople, and they have no idea how to run the sales department. So they throw a whole bunch of people into the fire who don't like. I think everything we're talking about the company right now, these phenomenal results, is with them basically playing with one hand tied behind their back, because it seems to me, and this is just me saying this as how should I call it, a theory, right? When I see Alex Karp interviews, and I'm a big fan of Alex, if you're watching this, come for an interview. I'll be nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that'll be great for all Palantir investors.
So when I watch Alex Karp in the earnings calls and the interviews, I feel that he knows how good the product is, and the product is unrivaled. Look at the test cases that came out of Skywise from Airbus.
Uh-huh.
There's no product like this in the world.
Right.
Nothing comes close. You can Frankenstein your way into something that costs 10 times more and gives you half of what Palantir Foundry can give you.
Right.
Anyway, so he knows that they're that good, and basically
Absolutely.
he's just very smug about it. Instead
And
of
business shows it too. I mean, the reason why I pulled this chart is I want to show quickly the viewers who are watching this. This is a deal chart comparing the years all the way from 2018, 2019.
yeah,
Can you see it, Tom? I can
yeah, I
see
can
it.
see it. I can see it.
Okay. So if you see here, calendar year 2022 is that white line right here. Okay. This white line over here. 2020, we cannot really compare because 2020 really shot up for them in March, April when the COVID hit. That
Yeah,
was like an unforeseen year where it just went up the deal. And this is all combined deals. Civilian deals are right here in green dotted line over here. This is civilian deals. You can see already in 2022, right here, civilian 2022 right now, we are over 100 and some $1 million just in civilian deals as of May,
yeah,
right here, where we are. And look at the chart, how it's growing. If you
yeah.
look, we are
The
doing
trajectory,
better.
yeah,
Yeah, if
better
you look,
than
we're
the
doing better than 2021 even right now
yeah,
where we are. If you look at the time frame right here, yeah,
yeah,
we haven't crossed when we come to May, but that data doesn't come out because government data comes out after a
yeah,
certain month. So
definitely.
the trajectory is looking aggressive, and it's looking that we are at the right path of the growth here. So there is no doubt in my mind the way
And
the
add to it
business.
the fact that they have $3.5 billion
Right,
in outstanding deals, which they just haven't performed yet.
right.
That's like 3 years of revenue.
3 years of revenue, and most of the government contracts, the biggest one that they have is expiring in 2027.
Yeah,
So they have this deal flow going all the way till 2027. And once a government company, I was in government contracting, once they get used to of a company and a service,
you're in.
they don't
You're
let
in.
go very
Yeah,
easy.
yeah,
they
yeah.
they go on and they go on, because they're used to it. They don't want to
Even if they
lose
want to
you.
leave, they can't. When the Air Force tried to back out of the deal,
Right,
the court basically said, "Hey, this is the best solution. You have to use it." But
right.
look at the top 20 clients of Palantir. So the top
Yeah,
20 clients are paying $45 million a pop, which
right.
is a
Yeah,
25% increase from last year.
last
So
year.
their best clients
That's a
are
great number.
spending
Yeah.
25% more. I mean, this is a banger of a company. And I'm telling you, Andy, they're doing this with a half-ass, completely shit for Salesforce
Hmm.
department. Not
Hmm.
because the people are not smart in the Salesforce department, because it takes
Right.
years
Hmm.
to develop the level of infrastructure that Microsoft has in sales and
Hmm.
support,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it takes years to develop
Oh yeah.
the
Yeah.
relationships with the CEOs, the community, the
Right, right,
things they haven't been working on. So imagine how good they will be once they have that. They're already kicking ass right now.
right. And I
So
think the CEO is also an engineer, right? I mean, he's not a business pleaser. He's not a people pleaser. So when you have a CEO like that who's not a people pleaser, it gets a little harder for companies to, get into that, and they will have a guy who's going to come in and who's going to say, you know what,
you know what I think his biggest problem is right
right?
now is he was really good with governments and big
Yeah,
organizations such as Airbus, which is his
yeah.
deal. Alex did Airbus and
Hmm.
created pretty much Skywise
Hmm.
with them.
Hmm.
The problem is that US enterprise software landscape is very different. There's
Hmm. Hmm.
a lot more politics. There's a
Hmm.
lot more of interests, even sometimes unprofessionalism in the way
Yeah,
things are happening.
yeah.
So you have to play the game
Hmm.
to get the executives in the IT part of the company to play ball with you.
Hmm.
Because usually you coming into a Fortune 500 company in the US, they
Hmm.
already have some sort of a solution that does somewhat of what Palantir does. Only
Hmm.
problem, it's bloated, it's expensive, and it took them and they work really hard on creating it. And
Yeah,
now you gotta have them to admit that what they have was a stupid idea because now there's something. So there's a way to go about it. But it
yeah.
seems to me that they're going about it like they did with the government. Because with the government, you
Hmm.
can do it. You know this. You work with government. You just go
Hmm.
ahead and like, oh, look, this is a better solution, blah, blah, and you get to speak to the general, to the warehouse guy.
Right,
No
right, right, right,
politics. Like
right.
with companies, it's there's a point of
Yeah,
context, and if he
there's
doesn't
a lot of
want, You'll
Right.
not talk to anybody in the company ever if you
Right,
just
right. There is a lot of scrutiny. There is a lot of competition when you go to sell to government.
yeah
But for the product that Palantir is doing, there is not much going on in that area because they are basically developing the need
yep
for the government. They're showing government, okay, look, this is what we can do. This is what you can do. And supply chain has been such a eye opener for many companies. But of course, the timing is bad. It's like you said for SoFi, right? The bank charter is such a huge deal, but the
yep
timing is terrible when they received the news of the bank charter, and that's
yep.
what reflected in stock. So again, stock is we have heard that statement. Stock is one thing,
Are
company is
you
something.
amused when people say that you fucked them on SoFi, like they tell me on Palantir? Because I'm amused. I was like,
Oh yeah, yeah,
look
yeah,
at the
yeah.
market. I mean, it's not
Yeah,
like the
yeah, yeah,
market has
yeah,
been
yeah,
doing
yeah.
great, and just Palantir and SoFi came down. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right, right. No, no, yeah. I receive comments all the time about like, hey, you don't know what you're talking about and all. And I learned, Tom, very, very long ago, you kill with kindness. I just give a heart and I move on. It's
No, I didn't. I don't deal with kindness. I deal
yeah,
with
yeah,
aggression.
yeah. To me, if I deal with aggression, I won't have my business. Trust me.
When people
I
give me hate comments, I just reply, send location. Send location. No problem.
I just
Send
no,
location.
it's
It's the
it's
Russian way to deal. It's the Russian way to deal with hate comments.
yeah. I don't
I'm
even bother
free.
with it.
Send location. I
I
got you.
just go. I just initially it bothered me when I first started because all of a sudden you start to get these
No, I'm
views
kidding.
that
It doesn't. I
produce.
doesn't.
Yeah, of
Bro,
course. I know you're
I'm
kidding.
41 years
Maybe you are.
old.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
I've been shot at. I've been
Oh my
stabbed
goodness, really?
once in my leg. I've been in multiple street fights.
Oh my
I
God.
grew up in Soviet Russia.
Okay.
Insults on the internet is the least of the things that bother me in life. No, when I say I've been shot at. I haven't been like physically shot with the. I mean, I didn't explain this correctly. So
Okay.
experienced what it feels like when somebody's trying to shoot at you, but I haven't been
Oh,
like,
trying to shoot at you.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I
The
was
shot.
not.
I was like
So
you. I
there's
think you took the bullet.
no. I didn't take a bullet, but I got stabbed in
Okay.
the leg once.
Okay. Got it. So
In
my
the
my
car,
dad
it's
was
a
in.
carjacking. It's a carjacking, and I got stabbed in the leg.
Oh, okay.
So,
So my
so
dad was
people
in
like throwing
forces.
insults on the internet is like it's not
Yeah, yeah,
insane.
yeah, yeah. See, same, right. So my
Yeah.
dad was in forces. So I had the, privilege of firing guns, a lot of guns, I have
Hmm.
in my life, when I was in India. And it was a pleasure and I really enjoy it. And then now, if I look at all this that's going on, it's so sad to even see and hear and,
It's
what the world
insane.
is at. It's so insane, so insane. I don't know about you, but I have kids.
I
And when something
posted today basically
is
what you're
like,
saying. Did you see my Twitter post from a couple
no,
hours ago?
no, I did not.
So a
Not
few hours ago,
right.
you can go to my Twitter. You'll find it. It's my latest post.
Okay.
So I posted saying, it's funny you should mention this. So I posted, it has been what, like a couple hours. When I was 8 years old in
Hmm.
1989, I'm 41
Hmm.
years old. My dad used to train me how to handle a double barrel shotgun and how to act once bad guys breach the house. Not
Hmm.
if, once. And then I say, our kids have such a different life today. It seems like a different galaxy. Like for me, that was normal. When my
Yeah.
dad like would go
Yeah.
over the plan of how to
Yeah.
it wasn't even if it happens. Like if when this
Hmm.
happens, this is what you do. This is and then we had the whole plan like to the T. We practice and shit. Like
Right.
this was my reality as a kid.
Wow.
Violence was like
It's like a,
yeah, it's
yeah. See, I
normal.
mean,
Like people who grew up in the States, they don't understand how much like
no, 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 no. Yeah, no. I mean, I've been in certain situation, but on the other side of things, because my dad was in forces, so we were always, there was a lot of terrorists that was going on back when my dad was in service. So we were
yeah,
had like gunners and people those who would walk with us because there were always threats against my father and all.
yeah,
So I've received the other end of it, what it feels like to be always, fearful of a bullet can come or something can come at you.
yeah.
And when I was a kid, I mean, I remember going to school and there were like two gunners walking with me, dropping me to the school and bringing me back. And it was like an everyday thing. So to me, guns were like, okay, they were in the house. They were like nothing else, no big deal, And when I see here how people misuse and I was just telling a story to one of my, actually a coworker yesterday. I was like, listen, my dad was in forces. It took him 10 years in India to get a gun license, being in forces. that
Yep.
long for him to own a personal gun, not a service gun. Service gun was given to him right away, but a personal gun to own it, it took him 10 years of scrutiny of going through the paperwork and all. I'm not going to say much because, when I talk about it, I get a little bit more heated because I feel like, kids shouldn't go through that. They shouldn't be,
It's
I got a picture
insane.
of my
It's
kid. Yeah,
insane. As a
it's
parent, this is like I
yeah.
can't even comprehend
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. Like imagine what's going through those parents, man. Oh my God. Anyway. All right. So,
yeah, it's
the other
horrible.
thing I know it's horrible. The other thing I wanted to ask you was that I'm going to come back on Palantir. Actually, you explained in a recent video about insider selling on Palantir,
Yes.
and because that's like a main thing that people, can you give a 2-minute breakdown
Yes.
of
It's the
why? Yeah,
biggest lie about
it's the
Palantir.
biggest. Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, and I get it, but I want people to kind of hear it on my channel as well. About it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I explained this multiple times, and I
Right.
trust me, Andy. People who don't want to hear it, they're not going to be convinced, even though the numbers are like.
Right, right. And we are not
So
trying to convince
basically,
anybody, just
okay.
for yeah, yeah.
So there's two items here to understand. There's the
Mm-hmm,
dilution, and then there's insider selling.
mm-hmm,
So as far as the dilution, there's a narrative that Palantir went from 600 million shares to over 2 billion shares and
mm-hmm,
diluted the fuck out of retail investors, which is
mm-hmm,
absolutely false.
mm-hmm.
The majority of the dilution of Palantir happened before it went public.
Yeah.
So Palantir went from 600 to 600 million to
Mm-hmm,
1.8 billion before they went public. This
mm-hmm,
happened before a single dollar from retail investors went into the company.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And most likely it happened because they were prepping for a DPO. Because in
mm-hmm,
a DPO, employees and shareholders of the company create the market.
mm-hmm,
Uh, and the retail investors don't get screwed like in an IPO.
mm-hmm,
So you can actually think about it like a split, like a
mm-hmm.
three-way split from
Yeah.
600 to 1.8 billion, because it happened in the closed pool of the private shareholders of the company.
Mm-hmm,
Had
mm-hmm,
nothing to do with it. So since the company went public in October 2020 until now, the share count went from 1.8 billion to 2 billion. That's the only dilution retail investors saw. And that's with a whole new department of sales and business development that was set up from scratch. When you set up a new department in software, you have
mm-hmm,
to have you can't hire in software without options. They,
mm-hmm,
they they and the people talk about it as if Palantir is the only one company who's doing that. It's
mm-hmm,
industry standard. There's no
mm-hmm.
software jobs without stock-based comp. They don't
Mhm.
exist.
Mhm. They don't
Uh,
exist. People, yeah, good people always ask for stock-based compensation.
any
Yeah,
job like that,
right.
that's not like a construction worker or assembly
Mhm,
line worker in a software, it's so anyways. So the dilution was from 1.8 to 2 billion, which is not a huge dilution, to be
mhm,
honest. It was 13% since they went
mhm,
public until now, and that's
mhm,
with the new department that was set up. In
mhm,
fact, you can look at the slowdown, and it's kind of funny. The dilution quarter over quarter from Q4 to Q1 was 1%,
mhm.
and yet they scream dilution.
Just yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I broke it down in my video. I looked at the amount of, so there's two things that cause dilution from a perspective, unless the company offers shares, extra
Mhm,
shares, which Palantir has never done since it went
mhm,
public. The only way that you get diluted is when people exercise either RSUs or ESOP, employee stock options.
mhm, mhm,
So for the purpose of this discussion, it doesn't matter. Let's treat RSUs and stock options as the same. Let's call them stock options. And
mhm,
I've combined both numbers: outstanding RSUs, outstanding SBC,
mhm.
and I applied a 4-year vesting period. So vesting is basically when they become exercisable.
Right.
So
Okay.
based on the 4-year vesting period, current existing SBC of the company, we're looking at about 4% annual dilution for the next 3 years or 4 years.
Four
So
percent.
yeah, 4% per year.
Okay.
It's not it's not the best. It's
Right.
not amazing, but it's
Right.
not this massive like number that they're telling. It's 4% per year is a lot, but this is
Right.
a company that's creating a whole new product. And if you compare it to other companies that are comparable, because Foundry is a completely new business,
Right. Right. Right.
and it makes sense. So 4% per year, you can either like it or don't like it, but that's the real number that they're not telling you about. Now, as far as insider selling, which was the biggest lie, is that you have this article that not article, I think it was a TV piece where they said, oh, Palantir insiders sold $1 billion worth of stock
Mhm,
at the height of the
mhm,
price, and they
mhm,
dumped it on retail investors. Now, this is absolutely incorrect because what happened is
Mhm.
nobody sold voluntarily any stock. What happened is that Alex and the team have a stock option plan that was granted in 2010, much like
Mhm.
Elon Musk had with Tesla, by the
Mhm.
way.
Mhm.
It's incredible to me. Elon Musk was doing the same thing
Right.
as Alex Karp,
Right.
but like
I
the
mean,
Tesla
yeah, they
community
all
understood
were
it.
selling in October, November, man. I mean, there was
Yeah, but the Tesla community understood the concept
right.
because, but
Right.
in the Palantir world, people like, oh no,
Yeah, yeah,
Alex is.
because yeah,
It's the
because
same thing.
Tesla has made so much money for investors that they are okay
They
with
don't
people.
care. Yeah.
selling.
Yeah. So basically, what happened is that the option grant that was given to Alex and Stephen Cohen and Sham, it
Mhm.
was expiring on the end of 2021. I believe it
Mhm.
was November 2020. I don't remember when it was expiring, but it was expiring at the end of 2021.
Okay.
And they absolutely had no choice but to
Mhm.
exercise the stock because
Mm.
this is their salary for the
Mhm.
past 10 years of
Yeah.
work. It's a big
Mhm.
part of the salary. When you exercise the stock with a
Mhm.
huge discount, and that's a
Mhm.
huge discount, they got
Mhm.
these stock in 2010 for like
Yeah.
20 30 cents a share, something
Even
crazy.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So when you exercise the stock, you're paying the exercise fee, which is a
Mhm.
couple $1 million,
Mhm.
but also you have to pay a tax bill on the
Taxes.
difference between your exercise price and the valuation of the market, which is it's a public company, so you know exactly the value. So the delta
Right.
between 30 cents or 20 cents or whatever and to the share price, which was
Right.
20 something dollars,
Yeah.
half of that is you owe Uncle Sam as tax.
Yeah.
And it's not capital gains tax because
Mhm.
this is like full on employment based tax,
Mhm.
which means you're paying like 50% in aggregate, like if you add in
Mhm.
state taxes, blah 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 blah. So all of a sudden you're in a position where you're making 1 million per year as
Mhm.
Alex Karp. You
Mhm.
just paid a few million to exercise
Mhm.
stock, and now you
Mhm.
owe $1 billion in
Mhm.
taxes for
Mhm.
exercising the batch.
Mhm. Mhm.
So what do you do?
Mhm.
So exactly what every other CEO and executive, including Elon Musk, does.
Mhm.
He sold about half of the exercise options to
Yeah.
pay the tax, and he kept the other
Mhm.
half.
Mhm.
So and he sold exactly the amount. So I'm sure he took a few million here and there just for
No,
himself.
they have to live too. See,
But
I'm never
nobody got
for
like
against. Yeah.
nobody got rich out of this. I mean,
Right, 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 right.
and
I'm
if you
never
look at the
against.
exercises, Alex
Yeah.
Karp did not sell a single share of Palantir stock since November 2021 in the past 7 months because
Not
he's
on the market. He was selling to pay taxes though. Like
yeah
as of
yeah, but he was
yeah.
once he exercised and he paid the taxes, he didn't
Mhm.
sell a single share.
Single share. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
People
So
are
that's
selling now,
selling.
by the way. People have stocks that are expiring and because it's a quarterly vesting. But
Right.
look at the insider selling of Palantir and you'll see 30 million, 30 million.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Because it's
Yeah.
you
Half,
can
half,
see
half, 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 half.
it's the same because
Right, 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 right.
they're just paying taxes.
There are some open buys or open net sell as well. Not from Alex Karp or for somebody, but from lower people because of they need the money, right now.
The
That
difference is probably 31 to 29. So
Right. But that brings me to another important point, and I'm gonna speak to you as a Palantir investor and you as a Palantir spokesperson, I may call you, that why no buying from anybody inside buying? If the Palantir stock is at such deep value, why they're not coming out and buying? See, Anthony Noto and all these guys are buying left and right. I mean, like as where the SoFi is sitting. Any thoughts on that?
well, they don't have any cash and they're getting stock for free. Alex Karp
Okay.
just got a new grant. So he was done with the 2020 grant and he got a new grant for 2030
Mhm.
that expires in 2030.
Right, right, right,
Massive grant. And he's going to
right,
get these stock for free anyways. It's his
right.
salary. So he's
So
going to
that's
so
yeah,
he's not liquid. He doesn't have billions to spend or
right,
millions or whatever. And
right,
he's getting stock for free anyways for being an employee, which
right.
he'll
And
exercise in 10 years.
it was a question, by the way, asked to me, and I responded to the person. I was like, listen, if you are getting grant for something
Yeah, it's
in
free.
like a month, why would you want to go out and buy and then with your post-tax money? Like why would you do that?
But also, I don't think he has the money. He's not
Right,
that
right. I mean,
liquid.
yeah. I mean, even if he has the money or not the money, but if you look at it, right? I mean, like if my company is going to grant me 100 million shares, yeah, in next week or whatever, why would I want to go out and buy the brand new shares from the retail? Yeah, as to satisfy the retail community, I would do that. Just okay, because but he doesn't care about the retail community in a way because he is focused on making the company
Yep.
and developing the company. He even said in the interview, right? I don't even look at the stock price. I don't care about the stock price, which is, of course, if you ask any of these guys, none of these CEOs care about the stock price if they are the founder of the company. That's very important. If you are the founder of the company, you will not pay attention to the stock price because you are so invested in the business.
Yep.
If you are a hired CEO, you are going to look at the stock price, you are going to look at the team, you're going to look at many things because you have a job to do. But these investors, co-founders, are at a different level
Not
of
only that, Andy, they also have the Class F shares,
yes,
which
they do.
means
That's right.
they can basically, it's called fuck you shares.
Right.
That's why they call it Class F.
Yeah, yeah.
There's A, B, and F.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I know. Yeah.
he's the only CEO that I know of who's been there for 17 years. He
Right.
has complete creative freedom. You may not like his arrogance, which I
Hmm.
think is not
Hmm.
helping for
Yeah.
sure.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
they'll need to work on that as far as their sales culture. You can't
Right.
sell like this to enterprise software
No, you
in
can.
the
And that's
US.
why he's not going to do. That's why he hired a sales department
Yeah,
because
they
he wants
need the
to
more
grow.
modesty and more
Yeah.
understanding in how to smooth their way into
Hmm.
small projects with these companies to
Hmm.
show them, create a freemium version, create some
Hmm.
sort of like a foot in the door situation. You can't
Hmm.
go in like elephants, like basically barging in, basically knocking down
Right.
walls. So
Right.
they'll learn, and then you'll see the real growth. Like people are
Right.
excited right now. This you ain't seen nothing yet from Palantir.
Oh, yeah.
But
No,
I,
no,
I
no.
think a Palantir is like a I've said this. I think Palantir now is Amazon 2000.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And
It's easy for
even
me to
though
say it.
I made videos on Palantir when I first started the channel, and I always talk about it
You're a
that this
stock
is a
pumper.
yeah. I was like, this is a 5 to 10 year investment. And I even showed all the graphs or all how the
People like,
contract
Tom, you're
goes.
pumping Palantir. Motherfucker, it's 40% of my portfolio.
Yeah.
I mean, I care about it a lot. I mean, what do you want me to talk about?
Right,
My
right.
entire future is riding on this company, my guy.
Right, exactly. No, I mean and that's the thing, right? Of all the people, those who are watching us, when we talk about a stock, because I've talked about Apple, I've talked about Google, I've talked about Tesla, I've talked about Amazon. These are the stock that I have in my portfolio. And that's why I talk about them because those are the stocks that I look at. I'm not going to pick up a stock and start talking about it if I don't know anything about the company or what they're doing or what the background is and all that. I mean, SoFi, I started looking at more and more in SoFi because I watched a random video. And when I watched a random video about how SoFi, what they're doing with the AWS and all that, that's what made me excited. And I went on the website and, I think that's a question that I would like to ask everybody, your viewers, my viewers, everybody, and let us know in the comment that when you invest in a company, when you buy a stock of a company, do you go check who the CEO is? Do you go check who
It's the
the
first thing I check.
management is? Exactly, right? I mean, like that's the first basic thing I check is what is their business model? How do they
Yes.
make money? And how much they know about their customers? A very important line from Warren Buffett's 2000 interview, something that stuck with me is that a company who knows their customers, what they are doing at any moment of the time, is the company that's going to win at the end. That's exactly how Apple was successful. That's exactly why Tesla is going to be massive. And that's exactly why Palantir, SoFi
Yeah.
is going to be massive because they have the hand on the pulse of their customers. What
A
they're
hundred
doing, what
percent.
they're
Yes.
searching, what they're looking, all those things are known. Apple even knows how many times you charge your phone, how many times you pick up and look at the screen. Just think about the details they know about it. Tesla knows when did you speed, when did you brake, when did you turn. I mean, I have that safety score thing that I'm fighting on my Tesla right now. They won't give me FSD because
You
my
haven't gotten FSD yet.
no paid
Look
for
at the
it in
brilliance
20.
of Tesla marketing. They're
Right,
they're they're doing the
right.
whole Rolex style marketing.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I mean,
want to
I paid it.
pay. You're
Yes,
trying. You're begging to pay.
no, no. I paid in 2018 full when it was $7,000. I got it with my car. I paid it all at that time.
Mm.
But I haven't received FSD because again, my safety score is in like 90s and they want like 100, I guess. And because I brake too hard or I turn too fast and stuff like that, and they match all that or they record all that. So when I'm like looking at it, I'm like, how brilliant is that? Like they know each and every turn I'm making the car. And those are the companies you want to invest in because they know their consumers more than anybody, their likes, their dislikes, and what Amazon. I mean, look, they know our whole life more than us.
Yep.
What we shop and what kind of price point we are, and where do we rank and all those things. So I mean, it's all
I think
great, and I think
Amazon retail and e-commerce is very, very strong, and I like it a lot. They're
yeah.
behemoth, and I've said it. I did a video where I said their e-commerce business is wild. But
Oh yeah. Yeah.
the look, the AWS side of things. Oh my God, what a freak
And
of
yeah.
nature!
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I use AWS for my business, and I'm telling you,
Everybody is like, it's industry standard. Like, who
that's
doesn't
right,
use
right?
AWS?
Exactly, right? And Google came to me like, we would like to sell your product. I didn't even look at it. I was like, I cannot switch. It's just so much invested in it, the servers that I have and all that. I was like, I cannot switch. And that's the problem, right? AWS has the first mover advantage where it has taken over so much. Yeah, Google will be fine with the new companies and all, but AWS is going to continue to grow in that base, really. I mean, it's like they're behemoth, they're
Yeah.
amazing. And let's hope that Palantir and SoFi also come and make that. All right, so I am good with the questions. We talked about Palantir, SoFi, we talked about Tesla, we talked about market sentiment. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think it was a lovely conversation, and
It was great.
very free flowing and interesting. And I got to talk about Palantir, which always makes me feel better about myself.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I get to hear your thoughts about SoFi, which is also, of course, a
no,
big,
no, I'm a big SoFi bull. For me,
yeah.
like, it's 90% because of Anthony Noto.
Yeah. And the product that they're making and how they're capturing the market. I mean, all
He
the
birthed it. Look, people don't realize what SoFi was before he came in.
right,
Like, what
right.
kind of a shit house this was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
All the allegations and all. If you Google
he
it, you
doesn't
will.
get enough credit because they're so growthy. But
Uh-huh. Yeah,
he's up
yeah.
there with Jensen and with everybody else.
Right,
He's
right.
one of
No,
the
he's
best
very
CEOs in the
focused.
market. Yeah.
He's a very, very focused guy. And I love about that when you're so focused, you know which direction. I mean, the acquisition of Technisys and all that, I mean, like it's great, It's all right, wonderful. Well, thank you, Tom. It was a pleasure to have you and hope we can do this again, and we can
I'm
make it a
sure we
bigger
can.
thing,
I'm sure
Yeah,
we can.
absolutely. And we can talk and see how the market goes in the next few months, and we all will be here. Thank you so much for joining today.
Go Palantir.
Go Palantir, go SoFi, and go Tesla.
Thanks, Andy. It's been a blast.
Pleasure. Thank you so much. Pleasure. Bye
Bye.
bye.